Hey everyone, welcome to my very first iceberg video. For those who don't know, an iceberg video dives into a topic layer by layer, starting with the obvious stuff at the top, then plunging deep into the wild, obscure, and sometimes bizarre details buried beneath the surface. Today we're exploring the 4chan Iceberg, a topic full of awful, mysterious, and crazy internet lore you probably never knew existed. So grab a snack, maybe dim the lights, and let's set sail into the depths of this iceberg together. And trust me, by the time we hit the bottom, you won't see 4chan the same way again. Which isn't saying much, because during all the research, I've come to realize 4chan is probably
the worst place on the internet.
Or maybe it's not, who knows, maybe we'll dive into something crazier in a future iceberg, but for now, we're focusing on 4chan, so here we go. Moot. Let's start with the creator himself, Moot, aka Christopher Poole. At just 15 years old in 2003, Moot founded 4chan, inspired by Japanese image boards like 2channel. What started as a niche space for anime fans soon spiraled into one of the most chaotic and culturally influential websites on the internet. But Moot wasn't just the site's creator. He was also its figurehead, posting updates, interacting with users, and even occasionally trolling them in the true 4chan spirit. This openness made him a beloved, almost mythical figure on the site. However, not all of Moot's legacy is smooth sailing. Moot's decisions over the years sparked a lot of debates. One of the most infamous was the banning of Gamergate discussions from 4chan in 2014. While some saw this as a necessary step to curb harassment campaigns, others felt it was a betrayal of 4chan's anything goes ethos. The backlash was intense, with some users labeling him to be a sellout or claiming he was trying to appeal to mainstream sensibilities. Another point of contention was Moot's stance on moderation. Over the years, he emphasized that 4chan wasn't truly lawless, but many users accused him of being inconsistent, sometimes cracking down too hard, other times being too lenient. The balance between freedom and expression and chaos was never easy to maintain. But let's not overlook the good. Moot's creation gave rise to some of the most iconic internet culture moments. Memes like lolcats, rickrolling, and even the birth of Anonymous as a collective all trace their roots back to 4chan. Without Moot's vision, the internet as we know it would look very different. He also deserves credit for keeping 4chan running through sheer determination, even when finances were tight and the site was teetering on the edge of collapse. At one point, Moot was paying out of pocket to keep the servers alive. In 2008, he was named Time Magazine's most influential person of the year, thanks in part to a little voting boast from 4chan itself. This moment cemented Moot as not just an internet icon, but a figure who made an undeniable impact on digital culture. By 2015, Moot had enough of 4chan's madness and sold the site, officially stepping away. His later move to Google was surprising to many, with rumors swirling about whether his 4chan past would clash with corporate life. Love him or hate him, Moot's contributions to the internet are massive. Without him, the iceberg we're exploring today simply wouldn't exist. And even in his absence, 4chan continues to shape internet culture, for better or worse. Burger King foot lettuce. Next up, we have a classic piece of 4chan lore, Burger King foot lettuce. If you've been on the internet for more than 5 minutes, you've probably heard this phrase, or maybe even heard that voice say it. Now obviously we're talking about Chills, and actually fun fact, I was featured on a Chills video once, but that's a story for another day. The story goes back to 2012 when a 4chan user posted a photo on the site's infamous /B/board, I think that's how it's pronounced, B board, whatever. Basically, it was showing someone standing in a tray of lettuce in a Burger King kitchen. The caption, "This is the lettuce you eat at Burger King." Now this is absolutely disgusting, but what made this iconic wasn't just the photo, it was what happened next. Using metadata from the image, 4chan users tracked down the exact Burger King location where the photo was taken. In true vigilante internet fashion, they alerted the franchise, and the employee in question was promptly fired. The incident would have stayed just another gross moment in fast food history until 2017 when the YouTuber Chills gave it a second life. His video, featuring the now famous monotone narration, introduced the world to the meme. Number 15. Burger King foot lettuce. The last thing you'd
The
want
last
in your
thing you'd
Burger
want
King
in your
burger
Burger King burger is
someone's
someone's foot fungus, but as it turns out, that might be what you get.
I remember when that video came out. Crazy. What was once a 4chan inside joke exploded into internet meme culture. It's a perfect example of how a gross prank can spiral into a full-blown meme legend. Burger King foot lettuce is a testament to the power of 4chan to create and immortalize the weirdest moments on the internet. The Habbo raid. We land on one of the most infamous internet raids of all time, the Habbo raid. This story starts in the mid-2000s, back when Habbo Hotel, a popular online social game, was all the rage. Think of it as a pixelated chat room where players could decorate virtual rooms, hang out in public spaces, and show off their avatars. So, kinda like Rec Room or VR chat. But anyway, sounds innocent enough, right? But for the users of 4chan's B-board or random board, whatever you want to call it, Habbo was more than just a game. It was a target. In 2006, the chaos began when the B users organized a coordinated trolling event, one of the first massive internet raids of its kind. The plan? Create identical avatars, characters with black suits, sunglasses, and afros, and flood Habbo's servers to wreak havoc. The raiders didn't just wander aimlessly though, they had a mission. One of their primary objectives was to block access to the virtual hotel pool. And they didn't stop there. They posted the now infamous message, "The pool is closed due to AIDS." This phrase became a central part of the trolling effort, combining dark humor with the chaotic spirit of 4chan. But why the pool? There wasn't a specific reason, it was just a public high-traffic area where the raiders could maximize disruption. But what started as trolling quickly drew criticism. The avatars chosen by the raiders resembled stereotypes of black individuals, which led many to accuse the raids of having racist undertones. Habbo moderators tried to fight back, banning raiders as quickly as they could, but 4chan users were relentless, creating new accounts and rejoining the chaos. They formed human barricades, locking other players out of key areas, and sometimes arranged themselves into offensive shapes, like swastikas, to provoke even more outrage. The raids weren't a one-time event either. They became an annual tradition, growing in scale and infamy. And by the late 2000s, the Great Habbo Raid was practically a holiday on 4chan, with thousands of raiders logging in to troll. The Habbo Raid left a lasting mark on internet culture. It showed just how powerful and disruptive a loosely organized group of online trolls could be. It also blurred the line between humor and harm, raising debates about the ethics of trolling. I mean, just think about it. Is this really I don't know what to say anymore. While some saw the raid as a ridiculous, anarchic protest against a virtual system, others pointed out the raid's darker implications, including harassment and racism. Even today, screenshots and memes of the raids are shared online, often as a nostalgic throwback kind of thing, to the Wild West days of the internet, if you will. Whether you view it as an example of trolling creativity or just another dark chapter in 4chan's history, there's no denying its significance. So while you're safely exploring the iceberg here, imagine being a Habbo Hotel player back in 2006, just trying to go for a virtual swim or whatever, only to find an army of afro-wearing avatars chanting "the pool is closed." It's the kind of chaos only 4chan could deliver. Alright everyone, now we're dipping below the surface. We've covered some of the more recognizable and, dare I say, surface level stories. But as we move further down this iceberg, things start to get stranger, horrific, disgusting, whatever you want to call it. The next layer still has some familiar names, but the stories are tinged with a bit more mystery, controversy, and 4chan's signature chaos, which by now we're accustomed to, aren't we? Buckle up, this is where things start to get lukewarm. Toaster Steve. Toaster Steve is a name that still sends chills down the spine of anyone familiar with 4chan's dark corners, because this isn't just a creepy story. It's a tale of disturbing, nightmarish internet lore that's been passed around as an example of just how vile and messed up the platform can get. The story of Toaster Steve begins with a now infamous post that appeared on 4chan's B-board, again with this weird random board, it's just the root of all chaos apparently. The image that accompanied the post depicted a man, Steve, in what seemed like a surreal, horrifying scene. His body was quite literally embedded into a toaster, The man's limbs were twisted, his skin burnt, and contorted from the searing heat. His face was a grotesque mask of agony, his eyes wide open in terror. The more graphic details of the image are deeply disturbing. Steve's skin was peeling off, his hair singed, and the unmistakable smell of burnt flesh seemed almost palpable through the screen. It was as if he'd been left too long in the toaster, unable to escape. And while it may sound like an elaborate, sick joke at first, the story behind Toaster Steve only adds layers to the horror. Some users claim that this image was the result of a real, macabre event, a person who had just met a gruesome end due to a toaster-related accident, while others suggest that it was just another 4chan-made urban legend. But the Toaster Steve post didn't just shock, it invited more darkness. Over time, the meme evolved. People started incorporating Toaster Steve into other forms of internet horror, like creepypasta and disturbing digital art. Some even made tribute videos or remixes, each one adding a new layer of madness to the tale. There were discussions about what led to Steve's fate, but the question remained: who would want to make something like this? And guys, I'm not even kidding when I say this. I've never seen the original image. While doing research, I've seen Steve's face, which will probably be on the screen right now, but I've never actually seen the image of him in the toaster, it just sounds absolutely horrible. The fact that people took something so twisted and so graphic and turned it into an internet meme speaks volumes about the darker corners of 4chan. This isn't your average internet creepypasta or jump scare. It's a disturbing representation of the grotesque, where the boundaries of digital horror are pushed to an extreme. The Toaster Steve story remains a macabre legend, whispered about in the same breath as other infamous 4chan atrocities. It's a reminder of just how depraved and dark some internet spaces can be, and while the details might seem too graphic for some, they stand as a testament to the madness that exists when anonymity and chaos meet. Pedobear. Now we're diving into one of 4chan's most infamous and grotesque figures, Pedobear. If you've been on the internet long enough, you've likely seen the image. A cartoon bear with a creepy smile and wide, unblinking eyes. It's an image that's both unsettling and controversial, but it's also one of 4chan's most notorious creations. The origins of Pedobear go back to 2004, when the creator first appeared on 4chan's B board. Initially, Pedobear was part of the meme called Lurkmore, which mocked users who would join the board without understanding its culture. The character itself was derived from a Japanese cartoon called Kumajiro. But it wasn't the bear's original design that got people talking. No, it was the way this bear became associated with darker, much more disturbing themes. Over time, the image of Pedobear evolved into a grotesque internet symbol. It was meant to represent a creepy, predatory figure, a joke about a character who allegedly targeted underage girls. The character's name and its association with child molestation were not an accident. In fact, the meme quickly became linked to internet trolling campaigns that saw the users post Pedobear in response to any mention of children or anything vaguely innocent. This wasn't funny, it was disgusting. And I'm just now remembering how often I saw this image back in the day. As of late, it's not that, I haven't seen it in a while. The last time I saw it was in some random Roblox obby, but it is disgusting. And while some may argue that it was just dark humor or an inside joke, the implications of the meme were far from innocent. Users would often flood social media with Pedobear images, following users who were underage or commenting on images of children. The meme quickly became known as a symbol for pedophilia, and it spread like wildfire across various corners of the internet. So, what about the aftermath? Over time, Pedobear became so infamous that it found its way into mainstream media, whether it was in articles about internet culture or in discussions about the dangers of online anonymity. For many, it was a chilling reminder of the darker side of the internet. For 4chan, it was just another example of how the board's users could twist something innocent into something horrifying. The Pedobear meme was also tied to real-life controversies. Users would post it in spaces where actual child exploitation was being discussed, or even in situations where there was accusation of such crimes. This made the meme far more than just a joke. It became a symbol of something truly vile, and one that would haunt internet culture for years. To this day, the Pedobear meme stands as one of the most repulsive and damaging pieces of internet culture. It's a clear example of how 4chan and the internet as a whole can take something seemingly innocent and twist it into a symbol of horror and predation. It's not just a meme, it's a reminder of the dark, ugly side of online spaces, and while some people may try to shrug it off as just a joke, for many, Pedobear represents a much darker and more disturbing reality.